Hello everyone and welcome back to Project Ozone Reloaded Titan Mode. You're watching episode 22. Today, first of all, we're going to start with the usual what's gone on between episodes. There's a fair amount, it's not huge. One of the things that happened is I did update Project Ozone. I record these quite a bit in advance and I'm trying to clear the backlog so they're not as far in advance. But there was an update to Project Ozone. I have taken and implemented it at this point. I had to make a couple of small tweaks, nothing huge. So let's take a look at what's been going on here. Not all of it, most of it will not relate to that. Okay, I'm at the mob spawner, which is at the bottom of the world, and as far as I know, it has still never spawned a slime, even though it's in a slime chunk. So I'm going to have to go the other route for spawning slimes at some point, maybe between this episode and next. We'll see. Regardless, it is working very busily spawning other things, and I have made a couple of small changes. Now, last time, I had this big bank of storage drawers filtering all the items that come through, and I had the apparatus that opens the loot bags, and I had the loot recycler, which takes and processes the loot that I don't want from the loot bags, and potentially that same loot from other sources, and produces new loot bags out of it and sends it back through the loot. Since then, I have added something that is really probably totally unnecessary and gratuitous, but I always add it anyway, and that is I put a disenchanter in here, the Mine Factory Reloaded Auto Disenchanter to be more precise, to take and pull enchantments off of any enchanted item drops that come in and puts them on books. Now I don't actually need to supply books to this thing by crafting them upstairs and shipping them down here, because really loot bags contain more than enough books to do that. If I come in here, I've even got a slight surplus. Okay, so once I get that done, I have all of the unenchanted items, the junk, the stuff right here, and I need to get rid of it somehow. For the moment, it's just going in a big chest. So one of the things I want to quest today, because it is a quest, is the trash can. If it was not a quest, I would already have made it off camera and stuck it here, but it is a quest and I want to go ahead and do quests on camera if I can. So this is where I mentioned that I'm going to do that. Now, one of the ways to test that you've got your filter set up correctly so that you're sending all the right stuff to the trash can, of course, is in fact to put some other inventory in the place of the trash can and let it run for a while and see. So at this point, I'm very satisfied that this is pulling in items that I want to dispose of. So that's what's going to happen there. At some point I may put a Tesseract here to send these items off to some location where they can be recycled into EMC, but we're not that far along yet in Project E. Alright, so continuing upstairs, let's take a look at what we got over here. Still nothing on that floor, nothing on there. There's really nothing new on the prison level. It looks like my tanks are full. I need to probably hook that up into the AE system to capture those fluids. On this level, this is where the power is generated. There's really still nothing new here. I am going to have to look at some point at finishing the quest involving the culinary generators. They are getting plenty of wheat at this point, so I've got plenty of backlog of bread to feed a few more of them. Here, this is where I'm doing most of my factory stuff. Now, by now you've already seen the plastic making video. This configuration right here is very similar to what I set up on the video where I did there. I just basically copied it. I did make a couple of tweaks. One of them is that if you, on these vortex tubes, you can actually get a higher temperature at the same pressure or the same temperature at a lower pressure if you put one of these heat sinks on the cold side. So I went and heat sinked all the cold sides. The pressure is actually very low in this right now, 0.7 bars of excess pressure, because I have cut off the fuel and it doesn't have all of the compressors running. So only like 4 of them are running. It's still actually, if we look at the particles up here, it's still hot enough to refine oil. I did go ahead and put, since I could go ahead and do it that way, I went ahead and put 4 of these on the back here. Looks like they're maintaining just over 100 with the compressors there. It was operating at about 130 before with all of them running, so it's doing pretty good. And I've got LPG gas backed up, plastic backed up. I've already made basically a stack of each of the colors of plastic I need. I'm not going to talk about plastic too much today or pneumatic craft too much today because I really need a couple of other things to happen first. Now, over here, this machine you might remember from a previous episode. It is set up on the AE system and it crafts things by filling them with redstone. So this particular encoded pattern here takes a diamond and 2 redstone. The redstone gets melted down in the bottom, which is passed up. The diamond goes into the top as well. The redstone is infused into the diamond to produce that redstone arsenal flux crystal. I have set up next to it, sharing the same power source, an identical machine, but this one infuses stuff with resonant ender. So this one takes ender pearls, like this translocation plate here. It takes the plate frame and 4 ender pearls. It melts down the ender pearls and uses it to fill the plate frame. We're probably going to use both of these today. Alright, so continuing up, really nothing. Well, I've set up a couple of new stations over here. I already had them, but I've set them up. On the Britannia level, it's still about the same. I have completely finished moving it off of the main ring now. All this is about the same, still just taking fluid cows and putting them in. One thing that has changed up here is, I don't know if I showed this before, there's a whole series of cyclic assemblers here that pack up my Minicio essence into Temperio. The update actually required that I get rid of my auto packagers because they replaced the auto packager mod with the compactor mod. So I now have a compactor where I had an auto packager before. It still does the same thing. The main difference is it has an internal inventory. It is a bigger inventory than the equivalent item from X Compressum, which has never been in this mod pack. But I still would not use it for ore processing because I would be afraid it would get backed up in some way. So it still does the same function. I did go ahead and turn the recursive compacting off because I don't want it to produce, for example, blocks of redstone. I just want it to produce redstone from redstone essence. And there's another one further up that's done the same way. So let's go. Oh, there is one other thing. There's a new moon around my base. This one's cracked wide open, and it's kind of flat on the inside in my characteristically not very artsy style. But I've got some trees and grass in here, and as you can tell, it's made up to look like the ether a bit. It's actually made mostly out of this holy stone material. And this is a working portal to the ether. It comes out in a slightly different location than my other portal, which has been removed from the main ring. I've been removing a lot of stuff from the main ring. If we go down and look, you can see that there's really nothing on it anymore, I think, except for the village and the cow pen where it's spawning animals. So all that other stuff, including the old mob spawner, has been removed from the outer ring. Eventually, I think I'm just going to have fruit trees all the way around, but I've got to do something first with the animal spawning area and the village. Okay, so for today's achievements, I would like to make progress. Specifically, I do want the trash can. I mentioned that. And I'm also going to be looking at the Tesseract and the Slaughterhouse in particular, because I want to start being able to, for the Tesseract, I want to be able to transmit energy to more places. I'm generating a lot more energy in this base than I really need at the moment, and I need to actually start deploying that somewhere, and so I'm going to want energy in the nether. I'm going to want energy maybe in the ether. If I start quarrying out another dimension at some point, I'm going to want energy there. So I need to have more energy available than I've got right now. And it's not that I need more energy. I've got plenty of energy. I just need to be able to move it around a little better. items too. If I set up a quarry, I'm obviously going to have to bring the items back to the base. Now, the Slaughterhouse is part of the progression in Mine Factory Reloaded that leads to producing the, what is that thing called? The laser drill or something like that? It's a mining machine from Mine Factory Reloaded that theoretically mines from the void, but it actually just creates ore blocks. And that is in which chapter? Zeta. So, laser drill right here. To get that, I'm going to need to go through this progression because I've got to have the pink slime crystal that's depicted here, and that starts with the Slaughterhouse. Now, before we actually get started on that, one of the things that I have been sort of lax on questing is looking at the Simple Achievements book. I made it, and I told you I made it, and it's mostly just sat here. I have actually finished a number of things in here. Let's go through them and check them off. I've not built the max-sized reactor, and I'm not using magnetic craft crushers yet on cobblestone, sand, and gravel, nor have I done really any of this other stuff on this page. A long time ago, I automated sieve ores into ingots. On here, there's also nothing on that page, and I don't see anything on this page either. On the other hand, I have certainly automated glass smelting and stone smelting for a while now. Not using deep storage units yet, although that could happen pretty soon. Surrounding the system with cloud blocks. I think when I get to this one, I'll probably just surround the whole base with cloud blocks, and since the AE system is inside it, it will also be surrounded. Nothing on that page. Now I have automated moo fluid milking, so we'll check that one off. And replace the blocks on your automatic marb farm with dark glass. It's made almost entirely out of dark glass, so that is done. And I think that might be all of them. Make an ender lily farm. I've done that. And I don't see anything else on that page, and I'm pretty sure I haven't done any of these really extravagant ones yet. So we've done several of them. This book is not completely empty of achievements. Also, between episodes, I did some various sorts of questing along the lines of metal ingots and such. In Epsilon, I have finished Demon Steel Tier 3, so let's go ahead and claim one of those. It's a greater reward bag, and we got growth pulsers, which those will be useful, although that many of them is not much progress. And on Ada chapter, this is applied energistics. I made a bunch of these different sizes of fluid and gas memory storage. So let me just go ahead and get all of those claimed. It looks like most of them are just going to be a chance cube. Well, the fourth one is a reward bag. These are epic reward bags. That could be good. Elite bin. That's not very epic. And artifact armor. This time it is the healing diamond helm. Heals for a half a heart 10 seconds after taking damage. Protection 3, which is equivalent to what I've got on. I don't know. Let's switch these. Might as well. Okay, so putting all this stuff away, is there anything else that I have done that I have not turned in? Doesn't look like it. The Demon Steel is something that I'm going to do as I get the materials between episodes, but it is going to be a somewhat slow process because that uses Temperio essence, and I just don't have enough Minicio production to just really whip that stuff right out and go through it. And I probably never will. That's a lot of Minicio that it uses. It'll never be fast at the higher tiers. Okay, so let's start with the Alpha chapter. I know I said I wanted to do the trash can, but I'm not going to start with the trash can. I want to make progress on clearing this alpha chapter out. And I'm just going to do one thing today. I'm going to go ahead and make the kinetic generator. So the kinetic generator is these copper coils surrounding a carbide ingot with iron on the corners. Very simple. It produces, this actually converts magnetic craft electricity into RF. So I could take and hook one of these up to the windmill that's going upstairs that's just wasting its power and get a little trickle of RF out of it. Honestly, I'm just not going to bother because the other RF generation right now more than fills my needs, and if it didn't, I would need a bigger solution than that. But we've finished making the kinetic generator. We get a quarter heart and a reward bag and a portal gun. Okay, so tossing that stuff away. What did that open up on here? It leads to the Stirling multi-block and the thermal power, neither of which leads to anything, so I will save them for next time. The trash can is in Gamma chapter right here. And I think actually I might go ahead and make these unstable ingots while I'm here, and maybe the iron drum as well. So trash can, pretty simple recipe, cobblestone and smooth stone around a chest. So cobblestone and smooth stone and a chest. And we have our trash can. So I'll get a reward bag. And elevators. And I actually do need elevators, but they're pretty easy to craft. Okay, so that opens up the next tier on this, which doesn't lead to anything interesting. Let's go ahead and make the iron drum. This quest line ultimately leads to the deep dark, which is interesting, but the deep dark itself, we're going to need a lot of septuple compressed cobblestone, which I cannot afford right now. But the iron drum is pretty easy. A cauldron in the middle, pressure plates on the top and bottom, and iron up and down the sides. That's the normal recipe for it. Let's just get a couple of those pressure plates. And I don't think I have the cauldron set up in the AE system at the moment, so we'll just do it that way. And pressure plates on the top and bottom, cauldron in the middle, and bam, drum. And I have been using resonant tanks, which actually hold twice as much liquid as one of these, plus they can transfer the liquids in and out of them a little easier. They're more expensive than iron drums, but the resource cost is pretty insignificant at this point. Okay, so that one leads to bedrockium and magical wood. Now bedrockium, I think I've actually made one before. I'm not going to make it right now. I'll set up the recipe for it probably. It's a detection task, so I don't necessarily have to do it the other way. I've made magical wood before. I'm getting lots of books in now, so I should have no trouble making lots of magical wood. Not going to make it now. Let's go ahead and make unstable, semi-stable nuggets and unstable ingots. So I need 18 semi-stable nuggets, and those involve an activated division sigil, which I've got 60 of, and a diamond on the bottom, and a gold nugget on top. At least that is the usual recipe, and it does not appear to have changed. Now it says I need 18 of these. Why don't I just go ahead and make a full stack of them? Okay, so it did detect that I have them. Let's go ahead and make them into ingots. This is how you make stable, unstable ingots early on before you get the next tier of division sigil. And normally you would not be able to make them in this crafting table. You would have to make them in a vanilla crafting table and they would blow up. They're cheaper if you do that. This is 9 times as expensive in terms of diamonds because I've got all these extra diamonds that get used making nuggets first, But I always do it this way because I don't want to deal with them blowing up or dealing with a vanilla crafting table and things getting tossed on the ground or stuff like that. Let's pick a reward bag. It's a good one, which has a flamethrower. Alright, that leads to all these angel rings, and there are a lot of them, and they're all made essentially the same way in the Avaricia table. I don't think I've opened the Avaricia chapter yet, so I'm probably not going to pursue doing those right now, even though they would be nice. Yeah, the Avaricia chapter is still locked. I'm not sure what's holding it up. But be that as it may, let's move on to the Tesseract, which is right here. Now, this progression, there's a series of 3 quests here that I need to do in progression. The first one's the Redstone Cell, which requires a Redstone Energy Cell frame full. It's just a detection task, so let me set this up in the ME system as I go along. This frame is electrum on the corners, hardened glass on the sides, and a hardened energy cell frame in the center. And I don't think I have the hardened energy cell frame set up in here. Looks, well, I do. I have one in here, but it's not actually set up as a recipe. Let's do that. I do have the leadstone one set up in here, so I'll have it craft a leadstone one. And then I'll put that in there. And this needs Invar on the sides, like that, to make the hardened one. So I'll put the hardened one in there, and I'll put it over here in the recipe bucket. And coming back over here, I now have the hardened one in the system, so we'll put that in here. And we'll get some electrum and put it on the corners, and hardened glass, and we'll put that here, and that will make the empty frame. This is not the default recipe for the empty frame and thermal expansion, I don't believe, although it's not that much more expensive. Okay, so we've encoded one of these as a pattern, and I'll put it over here. And this thing has to be filled with redstone. So let's go ahead and craft one of them. Just like so. Should be very fast. Okay, and I'm going to set this up as a processing pattern. And I want to say, I'll check it first, but I want to say this requires 40 redstone. So if I come over here, it wants 4,000 millibuckets. Each redstone gives 100 millibuckets, so that is 40 redstone. So let's get 40 redstone here. And we'll put that there. Now I'll take my 40 redstone. I can't tell the final item for the recipe yet because I haven't made it. But if I take my energy cell frame here and I run it downstairs, I guess I didn't need to fly for this. I'll just take and dump these in here. Because this thing is pre-stocked with redstone, it will fill it very fast. It's already done. Let me come back up here. And redstone. So there's my filled energy cell frame right there. Let me go ahead and finish this recipe off. Just like that. And this one goes on the same interface as this flux crystal. So let me put it right there. And now the system knows how to make those. If we come in here, we can finish the quest. Seize the reward. Chisel conversion tools. Okay. The next quest, the one that opened up, is the resonant cell. And there are 2 ways of making the resonant cell. You can either do it this way, just by surrounding what we just got with endurium ingots, or you can independently make this resonant energy cell frame and fill it with redstone, just like we did the last one. It looks like you can also do that process through a bottling machine and a casting base, and just different ways of filling the thing with redstone. I'm going to use this one since I already have recipes set up for this cell. So let me switch back over here to a process, over to a crafting pattern. We'll put this in here, and we will get Endurium, which I have tons of because I'm producing it using crops. One of the crops I set up between episodes, by the way, I forgot to mention it, was alumite. It's used in the solar flux panels and at a relatively low tier, so if you're going to make any of those, you need a lot of it. So there's our recipe for that, and I'll put it in here. And resonant. We'll just craft one of these because I think this was just a detect. It has to be if it's going to catch it through the filling mechanism. Reward book or reward bag. This one is an epic. And I epically got a bunch of chance cubes I have no use for. Okay, putting that away. The last one in this series is the Tesseract. It says it unlocks a quest elsewhere, but of course since it's at the end of the line, it may just be affecting the counter on the end of the book. Let's take a look at what the counter on the end of the book is before I do it. It's sitting at 50. So coming back over to the Tesseract, if I can remember which one that was on. There we go. It takes a full Tesseract frame and uses bronze and silver. That is default. The Tesseract frame itself is filled using 4 ender pearls in the fluid transposer, and it uses a resonant energy cell frame in the middle, which is what we just crafted. This I don't believe is the vanilla recipe, but it's pretty straightforward. So let's get that, and we'll put it in there. And we wanted Endurium on the corners and hardened glass on the sides. That doesn't appear to have been correct. What did I overlook? Resonant energy cell frame full. Endurium. Oh, it's got to be hardened lumium glass. What is that? Obsidian and lumium blend in an induction smelter. Well, I don't have this one set up, but I can certainly make some. Obsidian. It needs to be a multiple of 4, although I don't know how much I need. Lumium. We'll just bring this over here to the induction smelter and quickly whip up a batch of it. Okay, that will be more than enough. I think I have some more, yeah. I'll have to set up automation for that. But for now, we'll take and put that in there. That gives us our Tesseract frame empty. So I've got a pattern for that. And we'll just make one. Alright, now this is a processing pattern. It's going to take this frame, and it's going to take ender pearls, and it needs 4 of them. And it's going to produce the product that I don't have yet, but I will have it shortly. And just like the other one, there's a little bit of extra resonant ender in here, so it should fill immediately. So there we go. So now we have a full Tesseract frame, which I can put there and pull the pattern down. Then switching back over to crafting, this one wants silver, like this, and bronze. I think it was bronze, wasn't it? Yes, on the corners, just like that. And that will finish a Tesseract. So, coming over here, it's actually the copper chest that I have filling ender stuff on. So this one will go here, along with the translocation plate. And then this one can go in some spot down here. So that should, let me just go ahead and yank that out. So I've got one. Half a heart, and we'll claim the reward bag. Fleeting stone, don't need that. Alright, putting all that stuff away, let's take a look and see. I don't see a new chapter open. I think we're just going to see this went down to 49. Yeah. Okay. So that will take care of the, oh, whatever this thing is. It'll take care of the thermal expansion quest line that I wanted to get done today. So the only thing really huge remaining on this page is these flux ducts, and I'm just not that eager to do them because I have other things that work for this purpose. Then I've still got to deal with this photocell stuff. I don't have the machines to make the products for that yet. I will sometime fairly soon. The highest tier jet plate and these tormented heads are things that I could do now. I just haven't. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to Mine Factory Reloaded, because I want to go ahead and get the Slaughterhouse done. I don't think that I will have it enough time this episode. In fact, I know I won't, to actually produce the pink slime. But I'll have some pink slime accumulated next episode, and we'll do it. And I will set this machine up today when I take the trash can down there too. Okay, so the Slaughterhouse, a couple of the enders, which I have lots of, a couple of dark axes, electrical steel, redstone, machine chassis, plastic. So fairly basic. And I'm not going to set up a recipe for that one at this point. Machine chassis, plastic, dark axe. We'll make 2 of those. I think that one on the bottom. The ender. This is almost as easy a crafting recipe as the dark axe. In fact, it might actually be easier, but I've been getting them by the ton from loot bags, so I don't need to make them that way. Then there was some redstone, and I'm struggling a minute to remember the last component of it, electrical steel ingot. There we go. So we got us a slaughterhouse, and we can claim the reward. Auto enchantment table. Okay, so I need my trash can back. That's right here. And I'm going to need some conduits. The energy type and the fluid type. And for now, I'm just going to put this product into tanks. So I'll just grab a couple of these resonant tanks. And let's run downstairs and hook this stuff up. Now, normally you think of using the slaughterhouse with animals. You don't really have to, at least in my testing, I didn't. I haven't done it much before, but I suspected you didn't need to, and it doesn't seem that you do. So let's just come down here and knock a hole here in the mob spawner and put the slaughterhouse right there. And I'll connect up power to it. So in the short term, this will reduce the number of mobs that are being ground up here. That's fine. I'm not doing anything with the essence just yet, and I don't really need any of this loot. It's just stuff that's going in for future conversion to EMC mostly. But let's go ahead and put down a couple of these tanks. And I'll go ahead and hook up the fluid conduit here, and immediately it will give me meat in this first tank. Now this machine produces two fluids, pink slime and meat. And it produces more meat than pink slime. Meat has a use, we'll get to that some other episode. Pink slime is what I'm interested in right now. Let me go ahead and take a bucket, and I am going to grab some meat out of here. And we've got pink slime in this one now and meat in this one. So let's go ahead and tell it to whitelist meat on the first one and blacklist meat on the second one to make sure that we don't get things mixed up. And both of these can just be insert only. For that matter, this one up here can be extract only. Just like that. Okay, so I'm gradually collecting pink slime. Once I get a whole bucket of pink slime, I can take and dig a hole somewhere and drop the pink slime in the bucket, and it will spawn a small pink slime within the next minute or so. And that drops pink slime balls, which I should be able to get enough of very quickly using this sword because it's got such a high level of looting on it. Normally you'd get maybe one or two, something like that. With the sword, I suspect I'll get a whole stack of it, and I'll have plenty to go around. But I'm not going to do that this episode. I'm just going to let it accumulate for now. Let's come over here and place the trash can, because I think I have enough junk at this point. So put that in there and pop in the trash can. All the filter setup should still be the same. Yeah. So I'll just take and put some of this stuff in the trash can. Making very sure that I don't throw away something that I want to keep. Alright, so we are ending today at the point where we began, right back here on the level next to the mob spawner. If you found any of this useful, or if you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to give a like, subscribe, comment, or share so that other people can more easily learn about this series. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode.